Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Mubariz's podcast. I'm your host Hashmat Mubariz, and today we are diving into a topic that's both sensitive and important: traveling to Afghanistan. We are joined once again by Nick Burdeny, a former US soldier who served in Afghanistan and now continues to explore stories that go beyond the surface. Hey Nick, welcome back to Mubariz's podcast.
How you doing, my friend?
Hope you're doing great.
I'm
Thank
same,
you.
same.
Thank you for joining us once again.
No
Let me
worries.
Let me start from here, dear. That as we have talked before, that we are gonna talk about traveling about Afghanistan. According to a report by Al Jazeera, despite years of war and political upheaval, Afghanistan still sees a small but a steady stream for visitors, journalists, aid workers, photographers, and even a few curious travelers that we are seeing in these days. And I would like to hear from you that why do you think Afghanistan continue to draw people and even when it's considered unsafe? But your people, like American people, American visitors are coming every day, every month.
That's a good question. I did some research myself, and everything I found from the AP, NPR, like you had mentioned before, and the U.S. State Department, even the White House say that it is unsafe to travel to Afghanistan. When you bring up Americans, I watched that guy on the video who had his purple Charger traveling through Afghanistan. It's really interesting. I'm not really sure how that is. How am I trying to say this? He makes it sound like it's so safe there. He made it the last video I saw, he was talking about the greatness of Afghanistan. Like the normal day of life is a
Mhm.
lot different than other places, and I get that. But what he brings again is the question of how safe it really is.
Mhm.
I don't think that he is anywhere. I'm trying to be, how do I want to say this? I don't think he is like in my situation. He has never served in any government capacity whatsoever. So I don't think the Taliban really care about that necessarily. He's just there to travel. And I did see the Afghan Taliban is wanting more tourists, but again, it's not the people that are government former employees. That's the thing. That it seems quite safe, I guess, if that's even the right way to say that. If it's just an everyday average person, like if they didn't know who I was as far as my background, I don't think it'd be a big deal if I was traveling through Afghanistan.
Mhm.
But, conversations happen, just like you and I are having one right now. If they found out who or what I used to do, then that might be a situation that could change very drastically.
Yes, as you have said, recently we've been seeing a growing number of foreign influencers and travelers, entering Afghanistan, something that we have never seen before like that, exploring cities like Kabul and Bamiyan. The one that you have told that, driving an American challengers in the country, a bold and a striking image, especially given the world how views Afghanistan today. But I think that it's becoming increasingly clear that the current regime in Afghanistan, is strategically inviting or allowing these influencers to visit, as a way to reshape global perspective about the reality in the ground in Afghanistan. They want to project an image of stability or safety, a kind of PR campaign to say that look, Afghanistan is fine. Tourists can visit and go. But we know that this surface level narrative doesn't reflect the reality for Afghan citizens, especially women, girls who are still, stripped of basic right. It raises important questions that who gets to move freely and share their stories and who doesn't. I think that they are doing this strategically in order to show a wide picture of Afghanistan, that it's more safe and there is nothing to worry about Afghanistan, something like that. What do you think about
I
this
think it's
strategic invitings?
no, it's there's a podcast or not podcast. There was a when you bring up the women, there's a podcaster who or podcaster influencer who was in Afghanistan and saying how great it was and or it wasn't that unsafe. But the lady that posted on her deal said that that's a load of crap because the women face all sorts of atrocities. It's you're not seeing the reality. It's just like you said, the Taliban is showing what they want you to see. They won't show you what the reality is,
Yeah.
because they don't want you to see the women out there protesting the Taliban, people being arrested. They won't show you taxi drivers getting male taxi drivers getting beat up because they have a woman in the back of their taxi taking them someplace wherever they need to go, wherever that may be. They don't want you to see that. It's a very convoluted environment as far as what the Taliban or what they're wanting to show you. So yeah, it's a big deal as far as like what you're really seeing, because anybody can post a video of anything, but you're not if you're not willing to show both sides of what's going on, then you're not seeing the real truth.
Yes, of course, it's clear that there are some hands working behind these scenes, but as you have mentioned before, according to the US State Department Travel Advisory update in late 2024, I think it was, Afghanistan remains a level 4. For those people who know, level 4 means that don't travel, citing risks of kidnapping, terrorism, and civil unrest. Similarly, the British Foreign Office warns against all travel, nothing that there is also no consular support in Afghanistan. But let me ask this, dear, that from your experience and network that you have, what are the actual dangers or concerns that a traveler should take seriously if they're considering to visit Afghanistan, specifically those Western people?
Well, I think you brought it up the best. There is the crime, there is kidnapping, there is, that sort of thing. It depends on who you are. Like these influencers, in my opinion, they're just travelers. They're not Bill Gates. They're not Jeff Bezos, that sort of thing. They're not going to be that big of a deal if somebody is traveling in Afghanistan, because the regime is wanting to get as much support as they can. And if, again, I'm not saying that Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos should or shouldn't go there, but the point is that they're a huge difference as far as what kind of thing could happen if they were kidnapped. That they have gazillions of dollars that could be used for the Taliban. Again, these influencers really don't have a lot, of say in what's going on in like any government whatsoever. They're just there doing their thing.
Yeah, but in my perspective, situations like this create, a dangerous contrast. While influencers, bloggers post smiling videos, as you have said before, from scenic valleys and historic sites, millions of Afghans live under constant fear or censorship and isolation. The regime tightly controls who gets access and what they are allowed to show, often restricting journalists and human rights observers. You're welcoming content creators who avoid political topics. As we have said before, this selective openness isn't a sign of real progress. It's a distraction. It risks normalizing the operation that still defines daily life for so many Afghans, especially those who cannot speak freely or leave their homes without permission. I'm talking about girls.
Well, that's again, I understand what you're saying. Trust me, I do. We were on the same page in that. But again, these influencers are not. I mean, they don't have any, from what I've seen, the two influencers that we're discussing, they don't have any political say, or what, they're not discussing anything like that whatsoever. That's what changes their program as well. They're just traveling and showing the world. They're not stopping and asking the Taliban to, or anybody in Afghanistan to talk about, civil rights issues, or why can't the girls go to school, or why the boys have to wear a certain specific attire to go to school as well. They're just traveling, and that's what my opinion is, that makes them, sure, it's convoluted, but they're not going to be stopped or harassed because they're not talking about those things. They're just saying, oh, look, here's the splendors of Afghanistan or Pakistan or Yemen or whatever it is. But they're not involved in or wanting to be involved in anything whatsoever of the real situation. Yes, it does bring again what you discussed, a convolution of the reality. But again, they're not going to be stopped just because they're traveling through Afghanistan.
Yeah. I'm sure that you have spent several years in Afghanistan, in different cities, in different provinces. For me, it will be so interesting to hear that Would you like to visit Afghanistan once again? Not as a soldier, maybe as a, a human being, as who you are.
Yeah, well, again, we talked about that before, again, in the same podcast here. That is not my concern. My concern is that we're having a conversation, a normal conversation, and the people who work underground for the Taliban have ears as well. My only concern is just having a conversation with somebody, and I might slip up and I might say, I was in Afghanistan 15 to 20 years ago with the army, and that can change for my safety. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't have a problem visiting any country. It's just, in this situation, that can change very dramatically.
Mhm. Yeah, but in fact, despite everything, Afghanistan remains a country of remarkable beauty, something that we cannot deny. No one can deny it. From the blue tiled mosques of Mazar-e Sharif, if you have seen before, and to the snow peaks of the beautiful valleys of Deir Yusuf, Panjshir, and so much more. But in 2021, National Geographic published a feature on the Afghanistan Universe, and it was a beautiful documentary that I have never seen such a beautiful documentary. I would like to know that if you could take the world in one single place in Afghanistan, a similar question like the previous one, maybe a village or even a moment, where would it be for
Um,
you?
the Coast province was really beautiful. I could go back there. That's a really nice area. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Maybe, inshallah, one day we will see each other, visit each other in person. And there are a lot of unexplored places in Afghanistan that I would like to show you, man. Thank you once again for joining us. If there is
Thank
anything
you.
that you would like to say, Nadine, mic is yours.
No, I guess not right now. I guess if the next topic, I guess we'll see what happens. And go from there. It was really nice meeting you again, my friend.
Thank you once again for joining us. See you.
Thank you.